Happy Tuesday, everyone. And hello, John. Thanks for being here today. Today, we're going to be in the book of Acts. This is probably among my favorite books in the Bible just because it's so detailed. So there's lots of stories. And there's just so much information that I can see the scenes as I'm reading. And the story that we're going to talk about today is no different. This story was written by Luke. So at the time, Luke was writing about this experience, but it features Paul. Paul is like the prominent person in the story, the experience. So I thought what I would do first is I'm just going to read the chapter to you. So we're in Acts chapter 27 today, and I've got a little recording. Let me pull that up, and that way you can read along, but I'm going to read to you as well. So let me get my share screen going. All right, and I will read once this gets started here. Get that bar to go away. Oh, maybe I have to press the play button. Now, when it was decided that we would sail for Italy, they proceeded to turn Paul and some other prisoners over to a centurion of the Augustan cohort named Julius. And we boarded an Adramyttian ship that was about to sail to the regions along the coast of Asia and put out to sea, accompanied by Aristarchus, a Macedonian of Thessalonica. The next day, we put in at Sidon, and Julius treated Paul with consideration and allowed him to go to his friends and receive care. From there, we put out to sea and sailed under the shelter of Cyprus because the winds were contrary. When we had sailed through the sea along the coast of Cilicia and Pamphylia, we landed at Myra in Lycia. There, the centurion found an Alexandrian ship sailing for Italy, and he put us aboard it. When we had sailed slowly for a good many days and with difficulty had arrived off Cnidus, since the wind did not permit us to go farther, we sailed under the shelter of Crete off Salmone. And with difficulty sailing past it, we came to a place called Fair Havens, near which was the city of Lasea. When considerable time had passed and the voyage was now dangerous, since even the fast was already over, Paul started admonishing them, saying to them, "Men, I perceive that the voyage will certainly be with damage and great loss, not only of the cargo in the ship, but also of our lives." But the centurion was more persuaded by the pilot and the captain of the ship than by what was being said by Paul. The harbor was not suitable for wintering, so the majority reached a decision to put out to sea from there, if somehow they could reach Phoenix, a harbor of Crete facing southwest and northwest, and spend the winter there. When a moderate south wind came up, thinking that they had attained their purpose, they weighed anchor and began sailing along Crete closer to shore. But before very long, a violent wind called Euraquilo rushed down from the land, and when the ship was caught in it, and could not head up into the wind, we gave up and let ourselves be driven by the wind. Running under the shelter of a small island called Cauda, we were able to get the ship's boat under control only with difficulty. After they had hoisted it up, they used supporting cables in undergirding the ship, and fearing that they might run aground on the shallows of Syrtis, they let down the sea anchor and let themselves be driven along in this way. The next day, as we were being violently tossed by the storm, they began to jettison the cargo. And on the third day, they threw the ship's tackle overboard with their own hands. Since neither sun nor stars appeared for many days, and no small storm was assailing us, from then on all hope of our being saved was slowly abandoned. When many had lost their appetites, Paul then stood among them and said, "Men, you should have followed my advice and not have set sail from Crete, and thereby spared yourselves this damage and loss. And yet now I urge you to keep up your courage, for there will be no loss of life among you, but only of the ship. For this very night, an angel of the God to whom I belong, whom I also serve, came to me saying, 'Do not be afraid, Paul. You must stand before Caesar. And behold, God has graciously granted you all those who are sailing with you. Therefore, keep up your courage, man, for I believe God that it will turn out exactly as I have been told. But we must run aground on a certain island.' But when the 14th night came, as we were being driven about in the Adriatic Sea, about midnight, the sailors began to suspect that they were approaching some land. And they took soundings and found it to be 20 fathoms. And a little farther on, they took another sounding and found it to be 15 fathoms. Fearing that we might run aground somewhere on the rocks, they cast 4 anchors from the stern and prayed for daybreak. But as the sailors were trying to escape from the ship and had let down the ship's boat into the sea, on the pretense that they were going to lay out anchors from the bow, Paul said to the centurion and the soldiers, "Unless these men remain on the ship, you yourselves cannot be saved." Then the soldiers cut away the ropes of the ship's boat and let it fall away. Until the day was about to dawn, Paul kept encouraging them all to take some food, saying, "Today is the 14th day that you've been constantly watching and going without eating, having taken in nothing. Therefore, I encourage you to take some food, for this is for your survival, for not a hair from the head of any of you will perish." Having said this, he took bread and gave thanks to God in the presence of them all, and he broke it and began to eat. All of them were encouraged, and they themselves also took food. We were 276 people on the ship in all. When they had eaten enough, they began lightening the ship by throwing the wheat out into the sea. Now, when day came, they could not recognize the land, but they did notice a bay with a beach. I'm reading a little ahead of my video. And they resolved to run the ship onto it if they could. And casting off the anchors, they left them in the sea, while at the same time they were loosening the ropes of the rudders. And they hoisted the foresail to the wind and were heading for the beach. But they struck a reef where 2 seas met and ran the ship aground, and the prow stuck firmly and remained immovable, while the stern started to break up due to the force of the waves. The soldiers' plan was to kill the prisoners so that none of them would swim away and escape. But the centurion, wanting to bring Paul safely through, kept them from accomplishing their intention and commanded that those who could swim were to jump overboard first and get to land, and the rest were to follow, some on planks and others on various things from the ship. And so it happened that they all were brought safely to land. So again, let me say some hellos and let me stop sharing my screen. And that was Richard calling me. And he tends to do that, y'all. He'll call like right after a live stream starts, knowing that I'm going live, or I think he knows I'm going live. But let me say some hellos. Thank you to everyone who's here today. Joe, Sue, Angel at the Bud Files, thanks for being here. My dear friend Connie Cleary, thank you for being here. Barb at Barb's Country Home, thank you for being here. Let's see who else. And that looks like it. So, but I wanted to say, now that I've read that chapter, do you guys agree? I just feel like the book of Acts is filled with these stories that have so much detail. They're so descriptive that I, anyway, can see. I see the story happening in my head as if I'm watching it on a movie, just because they're so beautifully written as far as giving us information on the what's and where's and how's. I wanted to show you a map. So this map, oops, how do I take myself off of here? Well, I don't know why that's not working. Let's get back to this one. Oh, none of these are working. All right, I had a map of the route that's referenced in that story. As they're traveling kind of along the coast, and there's little, markers there to let you know where they got shipwrecked. And let's see, good quote or good comment from Paul. Paul was an interesting person. He was totally daring everyone all the way to Rome. Well, that was his personality. So one of my favorite Bible characters is Paul. Only because, well, not only, but primarily because of what he was before he began following Christ. Because for those that may not know, Paul had been Saul, and Saul was a persecutor of Christians. So his life's work was all about persecution and making Christians suffer for following Jesus. And it's just a great testament to what God can do with people. So Saul was definitely not somebody that you would call a good guy. If you're a believer, if you're a Christian, I'm sure the other people who thought like Paul were okay with him doing what he did because they did it too. But he was converted and became a follower and did amazing things to teach people about Jesus. So that's part of what's interesting to me about Paul is just his beginnings and how far he came. You know, he did a 180. Hello, LB at Woman Outdoors. Thank you for being here. More comments from John. Since he was a Roman citizen, he presents a unique viewpoint in contrast to the other apostles. Again, right. He came from the opposite side of the tracks, so to speak. Hello, John, at Home Bartending with John. So I'm hoping now I can get these pictures to show. I'm not sure why they... That was the picture that I found that I just thought represented this story. I'm not sure how I can show you guys. I may have to do a share screen to show you the little slides for the devotional, so to speak, that goes with this story. But I chose this story because it has to do with God bringing us through storms, through troubling times. And this was just a great story. Let me pull that map up. I'm going to take myself off the screen and pull that map up just because I'm a very visual learner. I need to see. Again, that's why I like the book of Acts, because it's written so well and there's so many details that I can see what I'm reading. But I'm going to show you, this is the map that just shows you the route that's referenced. Oh, so you'll see some of those names that I mentioned of the places that they passed and places that they stopped. So here comes that map. Okay, so did you see some of those names? Some of the names of the stories? And I'm going to get to my little folder where I have the slides. And here's that. You know what? I can share the screen even to show you that map. All right. So here's that map. Let's make it bigger. And again, see, here are all of these. There's Sidon. So that's one of the first places that was referenced in the story. And Cilicia, Cyprus, Myra, Adramyttium. So this is where they started. Yeah, there's Nidus, Salmone, Lycia, Fair Havens. So I just thought that was kind of fun to have found a map that showed that route. And I'm going to open up my little folder that's got the slides in it, because I'm concerned now that you won't be able to hear me if I have to show the slides the way I showed that first image of the map, or when I first showed you the map. All right, so let's move this over here. And now we'll get to kind of the meat of the lesson. And I wanted to open something up to you guys. I reached out to a long time friend of mine. He was the pulpit minister at the church that I used to attend many years ago. He does live streams on YouTube where he does little devotional kinds of things. And I sent him a message to ask if he might want to come on the show sometime and share a message with you. He's a great speaker. He's a wonderful person. He's very interesting and entertaining. I'm looking at this message that Richard sent. Okay, he's just letting me know that he's been really busy today, so I don't guess he'll be home anytime soon. So if you've got, if you know someone that might be interested in being on the show to deliver a little message, do a little devotional for us, I'm totally open to letting someone else come in and share the word with you guys. So you can message me, or you can have them message me, and we'll go from there. But I thought that might be kind of fun too, just to get some different, personalities and presentation styles on the show. Along with the fact that I know a lot of them already have some great content, some great material that they could share with us. But let me share my screen, and we'll go through these slides as I read you the kind of devotional part of the story. All right, share screen. All right. During a violent storm at sea, the 18th century evangelist John Wesley experienced a crisis of faith. While everyone around him seemed terrified, let me take that comment down right quick. A band of believers known as Moravians were untroubled. While others screamed, they sang hymns. Wesley, who was already a preacher and considered himself a Christian, realized that they possessed a type of faith that he didn't. And now I've got to look over here to see what my next slide is. Oops. Okay, let me close this and go to this one. I didn't think about that when I added these slides to the StreamYard and to my images. It didn't occur to me that if I was going to show them on the screen, I know there's a way I can do, well, maybe there's not a way I can show these pictures and show you, but I just wasn't thinking that I wouldn't be able to show them and you guys hear me talking. But here's the next slide. So we're still talking about Wesley's story. 2 years later, he read Martin Luther's preface to the book of Romans. That night, Wesley wrote in his journal, "I felt my heart strangely warmed. I felt I did trust in Christ alone for salvation." Now let me pull up the next slide, which is... Paul's journey to Rome was also interrupted by a terrible storm. The centurion who had custody over Paul and the other prisoners who sailed with him unwisely decided to travel on from Fair Havens despite unfavorable conditions. The apostle's warning in verse 10 was probably his own judgment based on current conditions. Next up is was it this one? Yes. However, when the weather proved to be as treacherous as Paul had suspected, God sent an angel who reassured Paul that he must stand trial before Caesar. The angel also told Paul that God had graciously given him all the lives of those who sailed with him in verse 24. Paul's confidence that God would keep his promise helped him encourage the frightened sailors. But when the ship ran aground, the soldiers determined to kill all the prisoners to prevent them from escaping, in verse 42. The centurion's intervention kept the sailors from carrying out their plan. Everyone reached shore with no loss of life. So think on that. Let me stop sharing my screen. Obviously, some opposing forces at work here. And the job of those centurions obviously was to deal with those prisoners. And were it not for Paul, then who knows? I mean, I imagine all of them would have been lost. The storm alone would have been enough to take them all. Hello, P-Hop. Thank you for being here today. But because of Paul and because that one centurion, so in the beginning, that one centurion kind of took a liking to him and decided that he would, protect him in a sense. And early on in the story, it says that centurion allowed Paul to get some care. So again, a lot of things that obviously God's hand was in this. So there's a big storm that, is going to come and potentially result in a lot of losses. I don't know what I have open that's making all my messages pop up here too. So pardon me for all the tones and phone calls and stuff that have already come in. So again, you just see all the little pieces where God had a finger on certain people and certain circumstances, and the people who didn't know about God. So when Paul tells those people about God, that it's the God he serves, and lets them know that there is a higher power at work, I would imagine for some of those prisoners, it's the first time they'd ever heard that. And so they have a choice. They can either trust him and believe what he believes, or remain fearful and, in despair. Because under those circumstances, again, the storm I picture in my head, I'm not a sailor. I've been on boats before. And choppy seas, even, or just being on a lake and there's a lot of wind and the water's very choppy, can be really stressful. And it's easy to not feel safe. And so to think that there may have been prisoners on this ship that were hearing about God for the first time, that's kind of neat to me. And what an impact that would have, especially on those people, to then see after the event, to see it was true. They really were brought through it. There was no loss of life. And Paul being able to encourage them to eat. I've said many times in my life, like this second half of my life, that I must be happy and comfortable and satisfied, because the first half of my life, when, there was so much chaos and turmoil, and I had such an unpleasant childhood, and I just was a stick thin little thing. Of course, I did not have a good image of myself, so it didn't matter that I was stick thin. And when I would get stressed, like the last thing I even wanted to think about doing was eating. I would just not eat, and which is why I was stick thin. And I can remember I was going to sing for a friend's wedding. This was back in like 1990, and he lived down near Houston. So I flew down there and was there like the night before the rehearsal, the wedding rehearsal. And he looked at me and he said, "Are you okay?" And I was so excited to be there. This was like my best friend in junior high and high school. And he asked me if I was okay, which, I wasn't okay. Emotionally, I was not okay. I was in a terrible marriage. Things were very uncertain. And again, I was not eating. And I said, yeah, I'm okay. And he said, "Well, you don't look like you even weigh 100 pounds. I think I weighed 105 pounds. I won't even tell you what I weigh now, but it's nowhere near 105 pounds. And so as I've looked back over my life, and I realize now I would rather be a little overweight, but happy and satisfied and feeling like I am fulfilling my purpose, than to look good and be miserable and be sick inside. So all of that said, it just kind of hit me that those men had not been eating. That's how stressed they were. And that there was someone who was able to encourage them to let go of that stress and eat, because their bodies were going to need to be nourished, because they were going to all survive and have lives to live once it was over. So I just wanted to point out again that, God did not spare Paul having to go through the storm. He didn't make the storm stop. But he did bring him through it, and he did communicate with him to remind him that he was there, that he had a plan, that Paul had a purpose, and that everything was going to turn out okay in spite of what was happening, or, at the time, all the chaos and frightening conditions. So I just wanted, you guys to think on storms. What storms are you in the middle of right now? What storms have you already come through and you're on the other side of it? And I don't expect everyone to believe what I believe, and that's not what these streams are going to be about. But I do get excited to see God at work in my life. And if you missed the little intro from last week, the first episode of Klatch, I share in that. There's just a little 2 or 3 minute intro that I shared last week on what motivated me to start these streams. And I'll just give you the short version here. God has been very busy working in my life these last couple of months. So I'm just compelled. I'm compelled to share it. And, you know, there are struggles here. There are stresses. We've got a lot of responsibilities. I care deeply about all of the animals here. We have children and grandchildren that mean a lot to me. And off and on, they go through struggles, and that hurts me, you know. But I just have a great long list of terrible storms, y'all. Terrible storms. I hope none of you have lived some of the things that I've lived in my life. I just hope that no one's lived any of what I've lived. But I know the reality is that some of you, maybe many of you, have lived a lot of what I've lived. Maybe you are living some of what I've lived. But I'm on the other side. I just want you to be encouraged because there's another side. And there are people that are willing, just like Paul, reminding these guys to eat. There are people ready and willing and able to help you through it and encourage you through it. And that's what I want these streams to be about. Just some encouragement. So let me make sure I haven't missed anything. Yeah, that's probably more common. I don't know which is more common. I just know for me, again, for 30, 40 years, that was my tendency to just not eat. It's almost like I was using so many resources, stressing out over things that were happening, that I didn't even have resources available to remind me that I needed to eat. Hello, Jingleberry. Thank you for being here today. So that's the lesson of Acts 27, faith in the storm. And if it means that if you're in the middle of a storm and you need to go read that chapter for yourself, then by all means, read that chapter for yourself. And I think I left my Bible in the bedroom. So next week we'll do the little thing too, where I just flip to some random verse, whatever page falls open, and share that with you, because that's something fun that I like to do. But I want to move on now to my friend Adam Sky. Some of you may know, because I know you see the community posts on my community tab, and some of you may follow Adam, so you may have seen his community posts. But his sister, they're in the UK, his sister was recently found unconscious on the floor of her home. No foul play is suspected, and she was in the hospital and on life support. And it was determined that she has suffered extensive brain damage. So they've figured out that she had some kind of an accident. She fell, something happened, and she got hurt, and she was in a coma. She, again, on life support. And I know Adam's last message was that they were going to be taking her off of life support. So I haven't talked with him today, and I haven't checked his channel yet for an update. I will encourage you guys to visit his channel if you will, and just share a little love and encouragement with him. It really does go a long way. And I know the comments that he was getting on his post were helping him to feel better. Let me get you guys a channel. I'll get you a channel link for him right quick. And you can go and, again, this is our purpose, y'all. Our purpose is to is to be here for each other. I gotta try to look at my keyboard here. Oh, okay. And let me get you a channel link. And if you'll go to his community tab, oops, you can share a little note of encouragement for him. And just let him know that you're thinking of him. Again, I totally believe in the power of prayer, and I believe in the power of collective conscience. So, bye, Connie. Thank you for stopping in. Hey, Nora at the Stock Explorer. Thank you for being here today. So, anyway, so that's Adam's channel. If you'll stop by there, share some words of encouragement for him. And I'll keep you guys updated as I learn more about what's happening with his sister, but it's not looking like there's anything that can be done. And that's just heartbreaking. And it was so sudden. Not that it's ever any easier, I don't guess, oh, why did I take that off? To have a long lead up before someone leaves us. But it just seems like it's just harder on the heart when it happens so suddenly. So that's the message for today. Let's look at some trending news. And John is here. So let me know, John, if you have anything going on that you can share with us today. Let me get to let's open this. I like this Microsoft one, this Microsoft Edge one. Again, I told y'all last week because I earn points by reading these news stories, and then I can cash those points in for Amazon gift cards. So we'll just look at some trending stories. Let's see if we can find something positive. And let me change my background picture. Let's just change it to that. All right, and let's get back to the chat. So let's see. Oh, average retirement savings by age. Are you normal? Well, don't look at that one. Now, this one, I haven't read this story yet. You know, I thought I had fast labors. Gerald was almost born in the car, and he was my number 3 of 4. And all of the kids were early, so I never was like emotionally prepared. I was always expecting I would go past my due date, so it just never occurred to me that I would really be before my due date. The closest I ever got to my due date was 2 weeks early. So first 2 were early. Gerald was almost born in the car, and my doctor said after Gerald was born, well, I think I was pregnant with Stacy then. So pregnant with number 4. And the doctor said to me, if you think you might be almost about to be fixing to, maybe, perhaps, you think you might be going into labor, get to the hospital, because it just went faster and faster with every one of the kids. And since they were early, they weren't real big. So that made it even easier. So Stacy's was really fast too. But anyway, so here's this story. I don't know. I think I tried to share a video with audio with you guys before, and you couldn't hear it. So we'll let this ad play, and then you can let me know. I think I have it muted. No, I don't have it muted. Maybe there's no. Oh, maybe there's no.
One of our favorites, our very
Can y'all hear that?
No stranger to breaking news, but this one took her totally by surprise. She was home when her daughter decided to enter the world pretty quickly. Just 13 minutes of labor. They didn't even have time to dial 911. Her husband stepped in and helped deliver their second child right there on the bathroom floor of their home. Beautiful baby, beautiful name, Gray Hunt Rivera. Mom reports she is a healthy 8 pounds, 4 ounces and is with us on the phone. Oops, sorry. How you doing? I know a loaded question, right?
Wait, you couldn't go to hair and makeup and
get When I saw this when I saw your Instagram story and the People magazine article on you, I just thought you are even more our hero now than you were before.
You guys are so sweet, and thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I mean, you said I'm no stranger to breaking news. I'm definitely a stranger to this.
Well, how are you doing, Casey?
We're both doing very, very well. Honestly, I have all the women out there who've had babies. Actually, a 13-minute labor is pretty great when you think about it. And honestly, it's a great story because nothing bad happened, and we had really great care from the DC Fire and EMS folks who showed up once we were able to call them in like 10 minutes flat, and also talk us through kind of what to do, because your instincts take over, but then all of a sudden there's a baby, and my husband and I sort of looked at each other thinking, what do we do now? So it was about then, but thank God an operator picked up and helped walk us through exactly what to do to keep her safe, and we're just grateful it all worked out the way it did.
Okay, so they didn't actually show up while this was happening. They showed up after and just talked you through it while you guys were at the home. Is that right?
That's right, Caitlin. Yeah, it's it was one of these things where honestly the only reason I know it was 13 minutes was looking back at call logs on my phone because I was up early. As Poppy, I'm sure you've been uncomfortable late in pregnancy. I wasn't really sleeping very well.
Yeah.
So I was awake and downstairs, and all of a sudden I started to feel a little funny, and I called my doula actually because usually the biggest challenge is people thinking that they're in labor when they're not. So you don't want to be that person calling the doctor and saying, "Oh, I'm in labor." Oh, actually, never mind. But while we were on the phone, it became pretty clear something very fast. So I called the doctor, which I did. I woke up my husband. He was only awake for about 5 minutes before he delivered the baby on the floor. It went from, hey, get up right now, we're going to the hospital, call our friends who are going to take care of our other son, to please come in here, the baby is going to be here right now. So that's how fast it happened.
I was just going to ask about your son because we just saw the beautiful pictures of him meeting his little sister for the first time. How is he doing? How is she doing?
They're both doing great. And my son, Mars, could not be more proud to be a big brother. He's just been the absolute sweetest. And it's these moments, right, that you absolutely live for as a parent. And so it's just been wonderful to see him. And I'm excited to watch him grow into the role. And Grace's been great. She's doing everything her baby's supposed to do.
Casey, I bet your husband was like, wait, I'm going to wake up, right?
He's like,
He's like, wait a minute, this is a dream, right? And it is a dream. It's a great dream come true, actually.
It really is. And, we've gotten a lot of comments from people who've said, oh my gosh, this is my husband's worst nightmare. How did you do it? But my husband absolutely he stepped in and did what needed to be done. And, we're grateful we were able to figure it out and then, have some support from the best out there.
And so did you, Mama. He gets a lot of credit, but you get a lot of credit
Pretty
too.
amazing there,
This
Casey,
is the last time we're going to call you for many months. Enjoy this precious time.
Okay, that was a fun, encouraging story, and I thought that would be fun to share because I would certainly consider those circumstances to be very storm-like, right? So for that to have all turned out so beautifully, I don't know if it was more storm for the mom there or more storm for the dad. So I know we got some dads in the chat here. Who do you think had the bigger storm going on as that event was unfolding? But that's just an encouraging story to me. Oh, I don't want to look at any Prince Harry stuff. Oh, now that'd be a fun story to look at, but I don't want to get anyone's hopes up. So again, this is the first time I'm looking at these. Oh, here's another. Look at that. Here's another story of a cheer squad. Let's see. Peyton Thorsby, 8 years old. Let me share that. Oops. Peyton Thorsby, 8 years old, was full of adrenaline when she arrived for her team's 6 a.m. call at the Showcase of Champions cheerleading competition in Tampa, Florida on December 4th. Things changed, however, when she discovered she was the only present member from her team's division. The other girls didn't show up for one reason or another. Her mom, Nicole Thorsby's Yahoo Life of her daughter's 5-member team, one of whom she recalls was sick, while another showed up too late and was unable to sign in. While other team members did show up, they were on different levels of the squad, which has 4 levels in total, and therefore unable to compete alongside Peyton, a first-year cheerleader for the Pasco County Youth Cheer and Football program called K-Tech Krakens. We tried to reach out and no one's answering, Nicole recalls, of attempting to reach the teammates' parents. Meanwhile, Peyton's 2 coaches, Coach Leah and Coach Nikki, were forced to come up with a new game plan. The coaches told her, the other teammates aren't here. What would you like to do? And she said, I don't think I can do it, says Nicole. At that point, the team was faced with the possibility of forfeiting from the competition, though her routine had taken weeks and weeks of practice to perfect. That simply wasn't an option for Peyton. A light switch went off right there, says her mom. That's when Peyton said, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be brave. I'm going out there for my team. Oh my gosh, how precious. Peyton tells Yahoo Life that backstage before the performance, I was so nervous at first in my head and my body was very shaky. I was thinking, do I really want to do this? And once the music started, it all went away. Oh, get my mouse where I want it here. How precious is that? There's some encouragement. Again, another little storm. I'm sure that was a huge storm for that little girl. I'm sure it was a storm for the coaches, a storm for the facilitators there. You got a schedule and these groups are supposed to come on and do their thing. And then a group doesn't show up, or it looks like you got to rearrange the schedule. And what do you do with the time that was allotted for, the ones that don't show up? But also how encouraging, 8 years old. What a great spirit. What a great example of strength and determination. That's going to carry with her whole life. So there's a great little encouraging story, I think. No, let's don't. Oh, now Arby's has a steakhouse garlic ribeye. Last week, remember, it was the $5 fish and chips or whatever, because Lent had started. Oh, we don't need to know about this stuff. Okay, here's some encouragement. Let's look at this one. If it'll load. World's most premature twins born at 22 weeks and given zero chance of survival. Let me take that banner off. Given zero chance at survival, celebrate their first birthday. Twins who were born more than 4 months early recently celebrated a happy milestone and picked up a Guinness World Record in the process. Look at these precious kids. Let me see if I can make the picture bigger. Oh, I might get that. Okay. I wonder if I turn my phone off, if it'll stop doing that, because I don't know what program I have on the computer now that's making the calls come through the computer. Unless you guys want to do call-ins later, we can do call-ins. But I wanted to make this bigger. Oh, no, can't make it too much bigger because that ad bar won't get out of the way. There we go, though. That's a little... Oh, my goodness gracious. Born 4 months premature. Get back to where I can read it now. Adaya Leylin and Adriel Luca Nadaraja, who arrived when they were just 22 weeks old and turned 1 on March 4th, are the world's most premature twins, according to the record-keeping organization, meaning the Guinness Book of World Records. Although the journey hasn't always been easy, we watched the babies almost die before our eyes many times, said mom Shakina Rajendram. The Canadian twins are doing really well. She's an extremely happy and social baby. I wonder which one they're talking about. And smiles all day long, oh, Shakina said of daughter Adaya, who now weighs 18 times more than she did at birth. As for Adriel, while he's had to be hospitalized 2 times since coming home, he too is progressing well and has actually outgrown his older sister. Another precious picture. Look at that. Shakina said that when she first went into labor, she was told by doctors there was a 0 chance of survival for her babies, according to Guinness World Records. But after getting transferred to Mount Sinai Hospital in Toronto, the parents began to have hope. Although Shakina was told that in order for the twins to survive, they had to be at least 22 weeks old. Just a half an hour before midnight on her second day of labor, Shakina, who was doing everything she could to hold the babies in, believed her water broke. I thought that this was it, she recalled. Fortunately, her water hadn't actually broken, and just 15 minutes after midnight, when the pregnancy was officially at 22 weeks, it was time. Adaya, who was born 23 minutes before her brother, weighed 0.72 pounds. Somebody do that math for me. If a pound is 16 ounces, let me get my calculator out. 16, what? What do I divide by? Times 0.72? Nope. 16 times 0.72 is 11.5 ounces. The baby weighed 11.5 ounces. Oops, I don't mean to do that. Why did I open that window? When she was born, while her brother Adriel weighed 0.92 pounds. So still not a pound, still not 16 ounces. Per Guinness World Records, afterward, they were both successfully resuscitated. Oh, obviously, if that word is there, it means they were not alive at some point. Per Guinness, the previous record for world's most premature twins was set by Keely and Cambry Ewalt, born 125 days early in November 218. Meanwhile, the world's most premature baby, Alabama boy Curtis Zykeith Means, was born 132 days premature in 2020. For almost 6 months, the twins, who were born with very thin skin and had a number of complications, remained at the hospital. After spending 161 days at the hospital, Adaya was the first to be cleared for release. 161 days. Wow. Was cleared for release according to Guinness World Records. Adriel went home the following week, but was readmitted to the hospital 2 additional times with infections and respiratory issues. Now, with both babies back home, the family says the twins, who will continue to be monitored by specialists, are doing great. Said Shakina, "It was very difficult for us having Adaya at home and Adriel in the hospital, but thankfully Adriel is back home now, hopefully this time for good." Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Look, see, there really is so much good. There really is so much good out there, y'all. And again, there's a storm. There's a storm for these parents, a storm for these babies, for the doctors that were caring for them. And yeah. Is there some kind of prize when you get a Guinness World Record? Does anybody know? Do you win something, or you just have your name in the history book? So much preciousness there. And that, of course, that's making me think of my own babies. Ty was born a month early. He was due on the 26th of April. He was born on the 28th of March. And the doctor had already prepared me for him to be in the NICU for a while, to have some respiratory issues. Did you know boy babies develop more slowly in the womb than girl babies? So a boy baby born at 36 weeks is more likely to have a lot of problems because they're not as developed yet than a girl baby born at that same point in the pregnancy. But a storm that God brought us through, the biggest consideration or the biggest concern that the doctor had was lung development, because generally the lungs are just not developed yet by that time. And so babies delivered that early typically have to be on supplemental oxygen or in one of the little oxygen tents. So he had prepared me for that. He was just very matter of fact about it. And he knew I knew a lot about that kind of stuff. So he just wanted me to be ready, that they would probably have to take him away right away and go and get him on oxygen and make sure that he was okay. But before he was even completely born, so hopefully this isn't like too graphic for y'all. So his head was delivered and he was already crying. It was the most bizarre thing to me. His head, I delivered his head and he started wailing. And, so right away the doctor said, well, obviously his lungs are just fine. But again, I never needed the whole 40 weeks for the babies. My oven must cook a little hotter or something, because I never needed the 40 weeks. So he was more like a 38-week baby at 36 weeks. Anyway, so just couldn't help but thinking about that little storm I've been through. Let me share my screen again. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Well, Oh, I'll find it. Oh, let's see. Yeah, we can do it this way. There we go. Oops, that's not what I wanted, is it? Let's do this. Oh, detergent sheets. I've heard about those. That sounds pretty convenient. Again, there's just some history right there, y'all, that we're seeing the changing of the guard there in the UK. Oh, we won't look at that one. That could be embarrassing for someone. Oh, and we're back to the beginning. So let me just give a quick look here. Oh, I might have to look at this because it involves a puppy. Adam Levine's new puppy, which will grow to be a giant, falls asleep in his arms, stars with their pets in 2023. Let's see if it says a Leonberger puppy. Never heard of that. Will grow to be anywhere from 140 to 170 pounds. Wow. So he better enjoy him while he's still kind of lapdog size. And then this is John Hamm with his, it's a rescue dog. That's awesome. It looks like a little pitty mix, maybe. Pit and lab, maybe. And here's Brooklyn Beckham and his wife, Nicola Peltz. Their dog, Lamb. It doesn't say what kind. Look, what does that look like? A little poodle mix or something? Again, I'm just wanting to share some encouragement with y'all because there's so much negative in the news and so much negative in the world. Selma Blair kissed her service dog Scout during a stroll in New York City on January 17th. I'm excited to see that Selma Blair is up walking around with her dog. I do know enough to know that she was diagnosed with, I think, multiple sclerosis, and it really wreaked some havoc on her. Chris Diamantopoulos, I have no idea who that is, went shirtless during a solo walk with his dog in Los Angeles. What kind of dog is that? Is that some kind of retriever? Emily Ratajkowski took her dog Columbo out for a stroll with a gal pal in New York City. Who is that? I know that name, but I don't know where I know her from. Hey, Jamie, how are you? No worries. You can always rewatch to get the meat of the stream today. We covered Acts 27 today. Padma Lakshmi kept her beloved dog Davina warm inside her puffer jacket. I don't even know what that would be like to have a little dog that small that you could carry it around like that. Oh, there's more like it. Nicole Richie with one of her dogs in Santa Monica. That looks like a German Shepherd or a German Shepherd mix right there. Oh, maybe I do like Nicole Richie. Shania Twain. I wish it would tell us what kind of puppies these are. Oh, I've seen a little dog. Is that a Papillon? Who knows? Who knows what kind of little dog that is? She looks great too, y'all. I think she might be older than I am. Diane Keaton. Another little, like retriever or lab. What is that? KJ Appa and girlfriend Clara Berry took their son and dog to a farmer's market. Look at him. Oh my gosh. Jamie Lee Curtis and husband Christopher Guest when their dog. Oh, wow. I should know more about dogs. Oh, and that's the end of that story. Let's see if we can find one more. Oh, there's another little cheerleading one. Oh, here's something. Okay. Here's the one we're going to end with. Man performs act of kindness every day for a neighbor. Oh my goodness. Yes. Oops. That's what it's all about right there. And it you don't have to spend money. See, that man was not spending money to be an encouragement to his elderly neighbor. It just took a little bit of time and some thought and care. And so there's some encouragement. And I'm doing great, Jamie. We're supposed to get rain again tonight. Go figure, y'all. It had just started getting dry. We have one puddle still in the backyard, and that's only because there's a place where the dogs and the ducks and geese have kind of dug the ground a little, and so there's a deeper depression there than in some other parts of the yard. And so there's still, some wet mud in that hole, but everything else had kind of started drying out. And there's rain in the forecast again for tonight. So we are definitely on the other side of the weather thing, because we had the drought all last summer. It was so terrible. It was dangerous, and animals were dying and people were dying, and electric bills were ridiculous. And well, the electric bills are still ridiculous, but now we've had so much rain already this year. I haven't seen a report yet to know if we're like above the average. Surely we're above the average for last year, just because it's been so rainy. But I'm good. The animals are good. I could show y'all right now. Let me log in with my phone and show you. We've got a house full again right now. And John, I didn't see. Is John still here? John Pedrosa? I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you were making a trip someplace and you wanted to, and I'm sending back a message to the mom of the two girls that are with us right now, but I'm going to log in on my phone and I'm going to let you meet these girls, because that's encouraging to me. I love being in a position to offer a safe, fun place for people's dogs. I know what it would mean to us if we had to be away, to have a home where the dogs could, these dogs are, these boarders, they sleep on the bed, they do everything our family dogs get to do. There's no difference when we have boarders here. And I know that that's what we would want for our dogs if we had to be away. But let me get logged in here and I'll let you meet them, because one of them is a very special girl. So I'm going to put myself on the screen. Oh, how do I get in there? Oh, here we go. Enter studio. And then we'll have to see what camera is on. Okay, it's on this camera. So here I come. Let me stop sharing this screen. Oh, okay. Oh, I guess I should have it this way. So here. I'm gonna mute this, and then you guys, can you hear me through my phone? It's not very loud, is it?
Let me know if you can hear me through my phone. If not, I might just have to go around and show you everyone, and you won't really get to hear, and then I can tell you about them afterward. Okay. So there, I went away from the computer. We got to turn some lights on so they can see you guys. Hang on. You can tell it's cloudy because it's really dark in here. Okay, so here are our guys. Can y'all see that? Bear, come here and sit. Come here and sit. Show me sit. Oh, good job. Good sit. Shake. Shake. Let me paw. Hey, it's not your turn. Okay, well, there's Bear. Y'all, I hope y'all can see. And here's my boy Boone. And here's our girl Serena. And then this is our regular boarder Gucci. Can y'all see that? I should have had the camera the other way around now. Oh, I guess I could be looking on there. And then here's one of our boarders. This is Lily. Hi, Lily girl. This is Lily. She's such a good girl. Good sniffing, Bear. So there's Lily. Lily had some bad experiences with dogs before, attacked by some dogs. And so this is their third time to board with us. And when they came for their meet and greet the first time, I hope there's not an echo, y'all. No, I don't remember how I did this before. When she came for her meet and greet that first time, she was really shy. She was really timid about meeting the dogs at first. We met out in the paddock because there's lots of space so nobody has to feel real cramped. And then it just like a light switch clicked off. She watched the dogs a little while and then she started following and chasing after and enjoying the paddock, and her mom was just dumbfounded. So she loves it here. She's comfortable with the dogs, and I think it's just really changed her life to meet them. And then our special guest, cute baby. Hopefully y'all can see her. Scoot. I want to see sister here. There is Lexi. Can y'all see her? You're fine. That's Lexi. Lexi is going on 15 years old. Sweet girl. She's just hanging out there where she knows there's not a whole lot of hustle and bustle. Yeah, sweet girl. So she's 14 years old. She's deaf, but she looks to the other dogs. Oops, I'm coming back to the computer. And I'll take this one off the screen.
She looks to the other dogs to know where to be and when to be there. And she's just happy-go-lucky. Never have any problems out of her. She sleeps well. She loves that little crate. Again, we always have 2 crates set up here in the living room because a lot of the dogs, our dogs included, really enjoy just hanging out, or they'll take an elk antler or something that's going to take a while to work on, and they'll just go in and lay down. And that way they've got their own little private place where they can enjoy a toy or, again, a pig ear or something that they're going to work on for a little while. So we just leave the crates up. There's just always a couple of crates in the living room, but we don't crate them and shut the door. It's just crates that are out. Often there'll be a blanket over them, like the blanket in the crate that Lexi's in, just to make it more like a den. Hey, oh my goodness, they were so good this whole time. Anyway, so that's what's happening here. Those girls both got here about 11:30 this morning. We are tending to our clients' sport in Nakona through the end of the day today. Richard just left to go do their afternoon feeding and watering. And so that business is booming. Hey, Matt at Backlash Fisherman, thanks for being here today. But again, I would just love to encourage you guys. I mean, I know it's not always fun to think back on troubling times, but you can make it a positive by letting it help you gain perspective, to think over the list. Thank you, Jingleberry. Thank you for being here today. Think over the list of things that you've endured, the unpleasant times, or even the scary or painful times, and then realize where you are now. I mean, sometimes there's little residual stuff that you carry around with you as a result of that, but it really can help. It's all about perspective. And again, I just feel compelled to share with you that there's another side. This too shall pass. Very, very few things are permanent. We're not permanent here. So I hope that can be some encouragement for you. I hope you enjoyed the devotional today. Again, I love the book of Acts. I love that particular chapter. And if you guys have requests, or there's a particular passage or something you'd like for me to put something together on, I'd love to get some feedback from you like that, and talk about some things that are maybe special to you. Hello, Vicki at Psychology Noir with Dr. Lund. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I'm fixing to get signed off, but I'm tickled to have you here for now. Again, I want to encourage you guys to stop by Adam's channel and leave him some notes of encouragement. I wanted to find that link again. Oops. But I don't see it. I'm scrolling. I mean, I don't think there's another Adam Sky. Okay, so Adam Sky, my friend Adam Sky, please stop by his channel, show him a little love, send him some support and encouragement, send some prayers up for his sister and his family. And as we did last week, I want to end the show today with a prayer. Does anyone have prayer requests for yourself, for someone you know? And I'll remind you that if there's something you'd like for me to be praying about on your behalf that you don't want to share here, you can always email me or message me on Instagram. And I pray for you guys anyway. You're my little YouTube family here. So I'm thankful for you guys, and I let God know that every day. But if there's something you're struggling with, or something you want to celebrate, even, we can't just go to him when things are tough. You know, it's not supposed to be like that. So there are often, just like these wonderful stories, these news stories and things, there's good things out there. We need to remember to thank him for those things as well. But anybody have any issues you'd like for me to include in my little prayer today? And I don't write these prayers out. I don't know that I'm a good prayer. I don't know. I just say what I would say if I really was just talking to him. So I hope that's not a turn off for anybody. Okay, so again, you message me if there's something that you'd like either for us to pray about on the show or for me to just pray about personally for you. And we'll do that now. Father God, I thank you for my YouTube family. I thank you for the people that you have put in my life that have been sources of encouragement to me, that have carried me through some storms, whether they realize it or not. And I love that you show me through so many of these people what it's about, why we're here, why we know each other, what we're supposed to be doing with our time together. I thank you for that. I know many who will see this live stream, rewatch this live stream, will be in the middle of storms. You never promised to keep us from going through storms, but I hope that the takeaway for them will be that you will get them through it, that your hand is on them and your hand is on the people around them that can ensure that they get through it. And then I want you to encourage them, help them understand that you've been a part of everything that's been happening. It's hard when you're right in the middle of it to hold on to that. But I just ask that you would show them, you would send them signs, you would help remind them that you are here to take care of us and protect us and guide us, and that the storms are just temporary. I want to say a special prayer for my friend Adam, whose sister doesn't have long left in this world with us. And I hope that you will show them peace, that you will help them think on the good times and the good memories, and that you will help them appreciate that her body was not really living, that it wasn't really her still here when the time comes for her to pass. I can't know what they're feeling. I can imagine it, but I know you know, and I know you have felt all of those same things. And I just ask a special blessing on that family, and may they feel the love and concern and support that is coming their way from a lot of people that they may not even know. May they still feel it. I thank you for allowing them to experience that. I thank you for the healthy animals that we have here, for our family, our human family, our grandchildren, our children, and all of the people in our lives that we love, that love us, and that are important to us. I thank you. I thank you for my health. I thank you for my peace, for my joy. I thank you for using me to share your message with people. I thank you for that. I hope that what happens here will touch someone in positive ways, and that they will go on then to share the same kinds of things with other people in their lives. I thank you for your son, Jesus, who died on my behalf, who took on my sins so that I could have a life with you. And I hope that I will always be able to share that in ways that will be meaningful to the people who hear what I say. And I just thank you for allowing me to be a part of that. Thank you for YouTube. Thank you for the platform that it is and the opportunities we all have to make a positive difference in the world. And thank you for the time I had to spend with my friends here on the stream today. All of these things I say and ask in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Thank you guys again for being here. Little plug for me. And if you guys want to see it, I'll show it here right now. I just put up a little, it's not a short because it's like a minute and 1 second. And it's the horizontal. It's the landscape video. But Bunky over at the Vineyard Chicks had a little song challenge thing on their channel. She did like a short. It was only like 45 seconds, I think. But I added a little intro to it, and that's why it's a little longer. And so I did another little duet with Bunky, and I uploaded that just a little while ago to the channel. About the time this stream was starting, I had just uploaded that. So let me know in the chat. I'll pull it up from my channel if you want to see it. If you don't want to see it here, I'll just encourage you to go check it out because I think it turned out super cute, and Bunky is just super cute. So, you know, anything that involves her is going to be fun to watch. But I'm really digging these little song challenges that they're doing. So I recorded that one just today. I got it uploaded, and then I recorded the next one because she's already got another short out. Okay, so Vicky says yes, she wants to see it. So let me, hang on. First I gotta, let me pull it up. And I'm gonna mute it first. Okay, let me mute it. And then we'll do a share screen. Oh, let me pause it. Okay. And share screen. And then I hope you guys can see it. Okay, and here, let's see, let's make this big. And here it comes. Okay, that was the latest little duet that went up. And then I have another one that I will probably put up tomorrow just because I've already got it done. And I recorded my next cover for the channel this morning. So the little Bunky video just really inspired me to get back into some music. So I'm going to try to have a March music focus on the channel this week. So I'm hoping to put out a lot of covers. I have a long list of songs that I've wanted to do for a long time now. I always have trouble deciding which one I'm going to do next, but I just thought I'm just going to do it. I just have to do it. It's not like there would be one that I would not want to do. So I'm just going to go through them. I hope you guys enjoy them. Hope you enjoyed that little video. Check out the Vineyard Chicks. And I just thank you guys for being here today. Could y'all not hear that? So Crafty Annie said she couldn't hear it. Oh. Can y'all hear me now? Do you not have sound right now, Crafty Annie? And how are you coming along in your recovery, Crafty Annie? I'm so tickled to see you here. Okay, so if you weren't able to hear it, Crafty Annie, you can just go to my channel and watch it. It's just a 1 minute and 1 second, I think. Yeah, 1 minute and 1 second long. I'll make a shorts version of it too in the portrait mode, and I'll just trim off that intro so that it can be on the short shelf as well. Okay, yeah, if you want to just look at it after the fact. Again, I thank you guys for being here today. If you will, give this stream a like. I hope to see you again next Tuesday. Once I have the passage selected that we're going to look at, I'll try to create another video like I did. If you didn't see the video that I put up on Saturday, I had the audio of this book of Acts chapter 27 from... This is a little plug for LibriVox. So LibriVox it's all done by volunteers, and you can find a lot of classics. Any literature, any writings that are in the public domain can be recorded and then shared from LibriVox, and there's no copyright issues. So obviously the Bible is a public domain writing. And so I found that chapter in LibriVox and have the picture of the ship that I had on today's stream kind of as the backdrop to promote today's stream, and so that you could hear that chapter before we got here today. So if you want to check that out, if you haven't already done it, again, if you rewatch this stream at the beginning, I do read that whole chapter of Acts, and I'll be doing something similar next week. I just don't know what passage I'm going to be focusing on. And let me know if you got some church friends that might want to come on the show and share a devotional with us. I don't have to be the star of the show for sure. But be safe, be happy, be well, be blessed. I hope weather is good where you are. Those of you who are recovering from medical procedures and issues, I hope you're having speedy recoveries and that your pain is not causing trouble for you. Again, you're all in my prayers every day. And I'm here if you need anything beyond that. I'll leave the chat open for just a little bit so you guys can say your farewells to each other. I'll see you Friday on the roundup. Friday's roundup, we'll have Steve Robson from Australia. He's a macro and pet photographer. So I'm hoping he'll have some really neat pictures to show us. That's funny. Last week's Friday, Come Hither with Heather is from Australia. And now I've got Steve Robson from Australia on the show this week. So I'm turning into an international interviewer. How fun is that? So be there on Friday, 2:00. I hope to see you. And then I'll see you here again next Tuesday. Let me know. I'll put a poll up on my community tab, and you can let me know in the chat now if you'd like to, if there's a time of day on Tuesdays that would work best for you. I will tell you, I am avoiding the 9:00 hour because my friend Chuck at Life with Belinda and Chuck does a live stream every Tuesday at 9 o'clock. I don't want to get in the way of that, but I thought I could even do like a 7:30 stream, an 8 a.m. stream, and just know that I need to cut it off before his live starts. I could do an evening stream if like a 7 p.m. or an 8 p.m. I'm open to anything. I'm just kind of experimenting with times right now to see what is most convenient for people. And you guys can let me know if you have any preferences, but be watching my community tab. I'll get a poll put up before the end of the day today. So I'll see you next Tuesday. Love to all from Rich Cat Ranch. I appreciate all of you so much, and I thank you for being here.